What you doing?
I'm working on a 2D shirt design today.
Okay. You know you weren't going to use it.
Hello anybody, this is Blender Pretender. I'm posting once again another Blender video for posterity. Well, actually, this time I'm going to actually try to be instructional a little bit. What I'm going to do is take a little break. I still have to do some videos for the bicycle, that is for the brakes and so on, but I'm going to take a little break because I'm going to try to do a video for oh, there's the cube, right? X delete back a video for some friends of mine. Two friends of mine are looking to do some 2D design, and I'm just going to show. I'm going to use this for a 2D design to try to show the concept that I've done for my logo. So it's been a while since I've done it, but basically the same concept is going to apply for the 2D design, and this is intended to be for like a t-shirt design. So with that said, that's basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to develop a t-shirt design using Blender, and that'd be like a 2D vector graphic type of thing. Even though it's not vector graphic, Blender can export. I'm trying to do two things at one time. So anyways, Blender can export SVGs, but no, I mean like I want to do some curves here for creating the 2D graphics. Not really the 3D, similar to the video that I've done for my logo, and use that for a t-shirt design. So anyways, I'm going to clear the rotations. Oh, do I have it? I grouped it. Control Z. Okay. Alt G R. Oh, come on. Control Z. Which one is it? Alt. Okay, wrong Alt. I'm using the G R and scale. I'm using the control. No wonder I'm grouping it. Anyways, the concept, and so I'm going to try to make it somewhat instructional because my friends are trying to see how to do certain things, and Blender is an application that's readily available to them. So I hope they can follow some of this. Okay, so this is the camera is going to be used for an imaginary paper layout. Now, in terms of screen printing, I have, and they'll be using my printer to print what would be the transparency, but I have a transparency that is, I have the capacity to print a transparency 13 by 19. So I have to make this camera somehow mimic what would be the 13 by 19 at 300 dpi's. So with that in the render, I'm going to go 100%, and I'm going to go, so that's 13 times 300 in the X, and in the Y, 19 times 300. So that will be the proportions, and you see the camera snap to that. So now, typically when it's an orthographic that I've noticed, and let me see if I can remember that, this dimension, this orthographic scale, and what you see there is this dimension right here, the long one, that is. So I'm going to put 9, well, the half of that, I think. No, I'll just, let me try the 19 first, see what it does. So it should be 19 of these little squares. So 8, let me see, 9.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.5. So there you go. That is the, I'm going to go back up more, 10 more. So if I see through my camera, that should be a print that's going to give me 300 dpi 13 by 19 image. I'm not talking about sheet sizes. I don't think there's a capacity for Blender to put that. I don't know. I'll look into that, see if there's a capacity for Blender to put that information into the output file, which is going to be a JPEG for me. But anyways, so that is the sheet size. I'm going to move the camera to the layer 0. And that way I can still go into the camera view, but I'm working mostly in the first view. I don't need a light. I am in the Blender render. I'm going to keep it there because that's keeping it simple with regards to the shadeless materials. So what I'm going to do is add well, first of all, the concept. Let me just give the concept here. It's a very simple concept. The concept is to draw a beer mug. So it's a 2D design for a beer mug, and you can imagine the beer mug that is foaming and, foaming down like this. And, you know, the text is going to say, hold my beer. So, oh, what did I do? Wrong key. I keep using the wrong keys. Hold. Oh, I can't write. I can't write or draw with a grease pencil. And I've seen some of the videos of the stuff they've been doing with the grease pencil. It looks very, very good. But I can't with the pad. I'm so used to just hold my beer. My, and then maybe in bigger letters over here. Beer. That's it. So I'm doing it in the grease pencil. I don't know if my cursor is somewhere in the Z value. Has a Z value. It doesn't, so that's good. I can always use that. Hold my beer and then a little dot, dot, dot. Okay, what I need, Shift C, what I need for this is to add a, Shift add a mesh, a plane. I'm going to tab into that plane. I'm going to turn off, this is just the concept right now, but what I'm going to do first is create a t-shirt. Oh, well, a fake, you know, very rough t-shirt. Let me turn off the grease pencil for a second. I'm in the edit mode for this cube here. Let me give myself some space. I'm going to work mostly on this side and mirror to this side, so XV. And I'm going to add a modifier for the mirror modifier, right, on the X. And I want clipping, and I want to be able to see the other sides too. So there's that. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the camera view. Because obviously, and I'm going to try to keep all the things, by the way, that centered around. So I'm going to be hitting Shift C a lot, so that kind of like just sends the view all crazy. But to center the cursor. So anyways, select everything and scale it. Just generally scale it. Scale in the X. Okay. So I'm assuming, and then maybe take these two and scale them down a little bit more, or just grab them down. So generally a t-shirt is about that size relative to that shirt. I'm thinking about a large t-shirt. I'm going to put a loop there and give it about 2 cuts, right? And a loop here, coming up here for about what would be the sleeve. So these two I'm going to extrude in the X, right? I'm going to select that, snap to those, use the cursor for rotation, and then just rotate it down. It looks a little warped, but that's fine. I'm going to fix it here in a minute. I'm just going to do I'm going to try to keep these even while I do this. Just GG to move it down a little bit, and I'm just eyeballing the t-shirt in terms of proportions. Now that one obviously can come down, and that one can come down a little bit more. And I'm going to take that one and shove it over a little bit. And I'm going to take those, not that one, and just bring it up. Yep, I got all the way down here. Control Z. So I don't really need to move that one. Okay. That one can come down a little bit. So that's just mimicking the neck, and usually the shoulders aren't that high either. They have a bit of a slope in the shirts. I really should have chosen both. I'm going to choose the whole sleeve then and bring it down. So that is the shape of my shirt. Save. And I'm going to give it a material. Going in here to the material tab. I'm going to call it the color tab just for the sake of knowing that that's where you get your color. That puts a slot, and the new material there is going to be, I'm going to make it a white shirt, just a complete white shirt. And what I need to do is make it shadeless. That fixes everything, such that if I go into the preview, it's a white shirt. Okay, so that's enough for the shirt. Control save. What I'm going to do is send it to the second layer, the shirt that is. I'm just fixing my camera so I can get an idea. Okay, so back out of the camera view. it's a 3D program, so it's not intended for this. I'm talking about Blender. So what I'm going to do is send it down minus 10 units, and then move it to the second layer. So 0, and if I go Shift 2, I see my shirt. If not, it's gone. Okay, so Shift C again, Control Save. Okay, what I'm going to add now is a oh wait, I need my background images. Of course, I did that beforehand just to try to limit the time. And so that can be imported through here. I hope. Add an image. And I'm going to open. Let me see. I am in the folder that has the Hold My Beer reference photos. I'm going to use the one that says background. This is just a duplicate of that image, just in case I want to import the oh, that's odd that it's the image looked fine. I just went online and looked for a reference and it looked fine, but now it looks like it's warped. Maybe this is what's messing with it. I don't know. The color space, I have changed the color space settings, the color space management per the advice. I call it advice. It's not really advice. I don't know. I saw one of the Blender videos in the Blender not the Blender forum, but the Blender when they get together, the annual gathering, where somebody was talking about how Filmic was not correctly implemented. I guess that was their opinion. But I followed the advice and I did the loading of that, and it seems to work. But I don't know. I'm not sure if under the Blender render it has anything to do with this and this. But I'm not going to consider too much what's wrong with that. I'm just going to see if I can scale it. Yeah, there's an option to scale it here. Let me see. Fit, crop, stretch, fit. There. Oh, that did it. That did it. Opacity. I'm looking for something that might be a scale, and I've not seen that. So, anyways, fit rather than stretch. So I'm assuming that stretch is stretching. Apparently, it's stretching to the dimensions of the camera. Fit is fine. So, there. So much for that. So much for blaming other things. Blaming what happened on other things. Let me see where the grease pencil shows up with this. And I need to go back and turn on the grease pencil right here. So I can, I think it's D tab, and I'm going to select everything, scale it a little bit so that my very, very crude drawing just lines up with that. Well, backwards, totally backwards. Scale it down. Actually, I think I want the text smaller, so I'm going to select, can you do a circle select? Yes, you can. In the grease pencil. So circle select all the stuff in the grease pencil and scale that one. I'm grabbing it. What I'm doing right now is scaling it so that it looks proportionally somewhat it's taking the space of what the text is going to be. So scale it again. Now I'm going to get everything, grab it, and what I am trying to do is fit everything within the border, because that's all I can print, and that's going to be the size of my design. So this is 13 inches down, so that's going to cover a good portion of the shirt. For smaller shirts, it actually covers plenty. Width-wise, I think it's fine because it depends. Thinner people, it might wrap around if it gets too thick, too wide. I mean, but still, I'm going to scale it in the X just a little bit. Okay, so with that's just trying to get the proportions in the print. Oh, actually, I have to add something else. Control Save, and this is just a limitation that I have in my as Shift C. I need to add a mesh, a plane. Tab into that one. This is for me. X, E, back to the vertices, and then face. It's just creating a square right there. Tab. So that's a 2, I think that's 2 by 2, right? And the dimensions, the scales are 1. But what I need, well, maybe I'll just tab in there. And I'll give myself length information here because what I need, so it's all the max that I can print is size that I can print is a 16 by 16. So I'm going to scale it 2 times 8, right? Scale. Okay, so very obviously and that's because of the size of the board that I have. Otherwise, I'd have to change that board out, and I don't want to. Not for a simple design like this. So back to the, so that's, I'm just giving myself the dimensions there. Back to the beer. I'm going to scale it in even further. Now I know, grab Y. Now I know that whatever I create here, grab Y. A little bit more. I can print. Now that's just a very crude sketch. What I'm going to use for maybe this one, sorry, just thinking. I'm going to use the circle select to pick up this area again and move it over a little bit. Right? No, not really. It has to be here because of the distance here and here. So I'll have to work that out when I finish. Okay, so back, I can turn the grease pencil off now. Oh, well, no, not really. What I need to do is the background image now. I need to make that one scale it, basically scale it. So I can always move it sideways, which is fine, like right around there, and then move it up. It seems to have the right scale, perfectly the right scale, the image. And if not, I'd have to, I think it's here. Oh wow, I was pretty confident that there was a scaling option for these, but if there isn't, that's fine, because I could always just trace it. So right now the image is where I want it, but I could always just trace it and then scale the vector graphic. I'm using air quotes with that, the vector graphic that I would create for that. So more room here. I'm going to turn off the grease pencil. So I'm centering the cursor again. And what I'm going to do is adding a curve. And I want to add a Bezier curve. So for a design like this, to turn this into a design without having to do the render and the whole thing, there's ways, obviously in Photoshop, going into Photoshop and working with Photoshop, you can do certain funny things and try to extract what would be more, I guess, more contrasts, colors and areas. But for me, I'm just going to start by doing this kind of thing. I am tracing what is essentially the furthermost item that I'm going to be showing. So that is essentially, that is the handle. So now my pencil always, it seems to add like a bunch of points sometimes. XV. And I'm gonna just try to keep it very simple. So this one here can scale down. No, this one, go back to the medium points. Scale that one down. I'm gonna keep these very simple. It won't have to be the perfect image there, is what I'm getting at. So you just move these a little bit. Very, very simple. This one's fine. Very close. Now these arrows, they show you where the a line is going, the direction of the curve, which is fine for the one particular video where I did the chain. That's good because it shows you the direction that it's going to, apply certain things. I copied the chain. I'm talking about the bicycle chain, but that's another video. But anyways, that can be turned off here and here. The handles, if they bother you, but normally you keep those on, but the normals can be turned off. So I'm going to start calling these some names, I'm sorry, just so that I know. So that's a handle. Okay. And so I don't need to be in the camera view. That's number one. Control save. What I'm going to do is keep this one here and then just tab into this one and start separating things out, because I find that easy. Link P separate this object. So in this object now I can take it down. I'm going to take it down 3 units. Oh, -3 units. -3 and then 7. Control save. What I do need to do is get my now watch the image come out. I'm sorry, go out of registration, I guess would be the term. Where is it? Background images. I put it in all views, but it's not coming in the top. It's in the camera. So it should be coming out in the top view. The image should be, at least. And it is not. So that's very interesting. Oh, because I'm not in the ortho. Okay. So that's what I mean. So in the ortho view, it's not where it should be. Even though I moved it on the camera. So that's a bummer. I kind of set it up the wrong way. But not really. What I'm going to do is just work on this one for now, ignore the camera for a bit, and when I have the traced out the things that I want, then I'll just ignore this image altogether. The adjustments have already been made, is what I'm getting at. Even though I don't see them here. I'm going to test this. See, it is moving, but it is, oh, now when I went to top, see, it's all views, sorry. That's fine, but then when I go out of that one, it's not. I'd have to figure that a little bit more, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to stick with this one, trace it, and then scale it up back to close to where the grease pencil is supposed to be. Just because I think working in the top view is going to be easier. So, and here are all the keys that I'm pointing, and that's, I was telling some people that computing is like playing the guitar. You know, you have to use both hands. You can't mouse it, you know, just use the mouse. Control save. Well, okay, so anyways, that is just a flat spot color in the background, because I'm going to try to limit this to 3 colors. So anyways, the same concept applies. You give it a color, I'm sorry, a new one. I should start naming the colors. And this one I'm going to name it, I'm just going to be white. Assuming that I'm going to make an assumption there. I'm going to use white, gray of the shirt, and yes, I can change the color of the shirt. I realize I left it at white right now. White, gray, maybe a yellow over it, that with the gray will turn that ugly brown color, and black. So let's say I do 3 color shirt for that on a gray shirt. So this will be the handle. I'm going to go white and shadeless. Okay, back to this, the 7. The curve itself has to be a 2D in order to show that color like that. So already if I start doing this, I get that. Let me bring in the, okay, that white is a little off-white is what it is, because that white, that color that I called a white was not really white. That's fully white right there. And now the gray that I see is the background for the world, and I think I'm just gonna, I want a lighter gray, but I can always do this, start with that, kind of gets lost, but I'm gonna go very light gray like that. Oop, I forgot, I'm not supposed to use the pen for the slider. I've just learned that the hard way. When I use the pen for the slider, it seems to send a lot of signals to, you know, a lot of input signals, and then my Blender crashes, or my computer crashes. So this safe area here, it's also irrelevant unless I have it in the camera view. So I'm going to move that one to the second layer. That way it's not in the way. Okay, so now I have that one already. I'm going to tab into this one. And that's one white color. The other one is going to be the foam, right? So I'm just going to trace that for a second. I'll fix it. Doesn't have to be perfect either, because I'm just using the reference. So there it is. Let me zoom in here. They actually did merge, but it needs to be in aligned vertices, right? So that it works. This is just a matter of moving these around. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm so used to using the pen. Right now I'm using just the pen, and it makes it a little easier to do these kinds of adjustments. But if the mouse is being used, it's very aligned is L, or what? Yeah, it is scale. So that works fine. These two need to another one just to make it thin in here. That one and this one too. W subdivide. I'm doing W for the specials menu and subdividing. So there, and I'm going to take that one that's in the middle and just move it. Oh, I'm hitting M for moving. Just grab it and move it over. I will always be going back to that one. That one already has the origin in the center. So I probably should have selected them all, but I will do this one at a time. So it's VL. Oh no. I did W. VL. Down here somewhere. So some of this stuff can be a little tedious for some, for some people it's a little too much, but that's the way it goes. You don't get, let me just stretch that one like that. Bring the handle up and just go about doing that. Actually, a little undulation there of foam is fine. It kind of gives a hint that there's, some waves to the glass when it was blown. This is a VL too. VL, just because I want to keep it nice and smooth everywhere. All of these. There. And as soon as I finish the tracing, I'm going to see where I can just be very suggestive. W subdivide. Very suggestive with the stuff that I'm doing. See, that happens. I'm just hitting the buttons ahead of time when I should. So take that one, scale it down. But obviously, the closer I get to the real image, I'm assuming that's a real image and not a Blender image. You never know nowadays. Thank you, Blender. Blender people, the smart people at Blender. Okay, so there's that. That's good enough for me. I can see one of the things that if I really want to make this design good, I would have to put in some halftone in the black just to try to get some of the smoothing, and I'll see if I can get some of that going on. Not in this video though. Let me see where I am in time. 30 minutes into it, so I should be okay so far. Okay, so tab. So everything deselected, link that one piece, selection, tab, take that one, it's a 2D, and I want both sides. That's also a white. So I'm going to take that, grab it down, -2. So these two are on top, so I'll just select these two and just go Control L and then materials. So right now I should have something that starts looking a little something like what I want. The mug handle and the foam. Okay. I forgot that I don't have the same view. I'd have to figure that out. Study Blender as to why that is, but everything always requires a little bit of effort and learning and then remembering it again. So what I'm going to do is hide these two for now, because I need to trace now. I don't really need to hide them, but I need to trace now the shape of the mug. The white one actually should be on top of everything, so I got ahead of myself, but that's because it was part of the white. So I need to trace the mug, really. I'm trying to work in layers from the back to the front. So let me see, with the shift down, I'm going to do a trace for the mug. And I don't have to be perfect up there because it's going to be hidden. I already know that. I'm going to save a second. One of the things that I could probably do is select them all and go V and then go automatic and then go back V. Sorry, select them all V and then aligned. See if that smooths out the curve a little bit. You know, that one is actually, I need to just get rid of that segment. And not that segment, that vertices. X, vertices. Vertices averted. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember one time I had a crisis. I averted the crisis. So, oh wait, no, so I'm going to try to keep that very close because that's where the handle comes in. Maybe I can get rid of that one, who knows? We'll see. There. Bring it closer here. So that's good, I think, for a 2D design. So I'm going to save, deselect everything, link it, P, selection. So now, once again, Alt-H. Oh, Tab, Alt-H. So here, what's happening is that that white one should have been at the top. So I'm going to go +6. Send it up to the top. That one should have been down below, -2. And then make it another, again, it's 2D and full and both. So, sorry. And that one should be yellow. So that's a new material. That material there is the white. That material should be a new one. And it should be yellow. Yellow. Okay. And this is a shadeless material as well. Now in cycles, a lot of other stuff can be done. Cool stuff too. But right now I'm just sticking to... Oh, what am I doing? I gave it a yellow color, right? No. So I'm going to go with the... I need to use the mouse, otherwise I crash. I'm going to give it that yellow right there. So already I'm seeing some things. So the white is going to need a lot of suggestion with the black. There's 3 colors: gray shirt with a yellow, black, and so on. The yellow, one of the things could possibly be done is maybe it's very transparent. So if the yellow goes right over, maybe even like use a yellow that's for process color goes over the gray. We'll see how that looks. It might actually take the color of the beer already. So okay, and then the black would have to be used to indicate that there is, you know, a shape to this, and that'll be good enough for a 2D design that just says something stupid like "hold my beer." Okay, so that's it. Control save. I was brainstorming something else, but not. You know, this is not quite 7. Now I can start, you know, being a little more... Actually, I should turn off the background images, and I can start being a little more, you know, artistic with it. That's, you know, that's what I wanted to do. I could start being more insistent of what I want it to look like rather than tracing that cup. So, you know, just opening it up a little bit over here just so that it looks These look good to me right here. Control save. Alright, so I'm going to select everything. And I'm going to, I could tab out. That is the mug. I should have called it already the mug. It's handle 3, so I'm going to call, which one am I at? What's going on? Can't see what I have selected. Okay. That should be, I'm going to call it mug handle. Mug. And then this is foam. Very simple. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take that one and duplicate it and go mud handle. I'm just going to say line work. That's for me to know that that's going to be the line work. Now the easiest way for me, what am I doing here? The easiest way for me to turn that into a line work is to go into the curve properties, turn it into a 3D and go full. Right? Now here, I'm going to very carefully increase the bevel depth. Okay. And then I think that's enough. That's all I need really. Back to the colors tab, I need to create a new one. So this one already has a color, but I'm going to hit that little plus right there to create a new one. I'm going to call it black. And that one is going to be a black color. Okay. So there it is. Now, the one thing that should be noted is that it's in the same spot, same place. What it's really doing, since it's a 3D program, it's like a little edge, little lip around it all, because it was a straight copy. If I ever move any of these, then I have to make sure to take one of these, which is the black really, and then move it up. That's if I had made any minor adjustments, but I don't have to. Right now it will come out like a little color on top of that one. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Control save, and let me see, shift duplicate, call it foam line work. There you go. Let me see how much time I got on this. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same to this one. Do I have it selected? Yes. Oh, I have something selected. Oh, I had to take a little break, so every time I do that, I lose train of thought. I already have two of them. The line work is right there. That one, I can just switch to the black. It's going to make it all black for now, but in the curve. Go 3D and full. And just increase it slightly. Now that one is the same thing. Mug. Line work. That's in capitals. Don't know if that'll filter out. If I have to filter it out, right? Back to 3D, full. About right there. And in the colors, just give it the black. So now back to this. I have the Control save. I have the image off, but I can go back to what I did with the grease pencil. Where is it? Oh, it's up on top. The grease pencil here, and I can start to scale it up. One of the things I'm going to do is parent them. No, what am I doing? So I'm going to parent them. Let me turn the grease pencil off because everything gets complicated, right? Control save. So I'm going to how am I going to know which I have, which is the last one? Okay, that is, where's the name? Oh, it also says right here, active silhouette. So mug, line work and mug. So I'll try to get the mug last. There I have the mug last control parent object. So all I have to do is grab the mug and I'll move all of them. I can scale the mug too. I should scale all of them. Now back to this, turn on the grease pencil and scale it and grab it. Put it more or less where it's supposed to be. Okay. Now for the sake of the text, I'm going to just put the cursor there, make sure it's at 0. Z0, Shift add, and when I add a text, tab, I'm going to hold my, does it work? Yeah, it does. The enter does work, but I'm gonna do them separate. Tab, hold my, now that one, I'm gonna go yellow with that text in terms of the color. Put a color there, and I'm gonna go yellow. And I need to find some font that's kind of cool. So I'm gonna go into searching on the fonts, and I'm gonna hit the icons, Control Save. I'm gonna pause it while I look for my cool font. Okay, so I found a font that I think is going to work. It's a very generic, very simple font. It's one of the first ones that comes up. It's kind of shaky and that kind of stuff. It adds, you know, a busy. Let me just deselect it so it's not, you know, so the cursor's not in the way, but it's very shaky, you know, but it adds like a little busy, you know, feel to the image. But what I'm going to do, and it's going to add more work, is really just try to. Well, first let me finish this. Finish the saying whatever it's supposed to say. But what I'm going to try to do is try to change some of the colors around the letters from the little strokes that you see there, and then let me see in the white. Let me tab into that one. My beer, and this one needs, I messed around a little bit, I think, with the spacing of the letters, so I'm going to move it back. Maybe there. So what I'm getting at is I'm going to try to see if I can change the color of some of these strokes. Normally for text, and that's the thing about the shirt, I still have not made the shirt. So let me go to the level 2. I have not made the shirt the color. Oh yeah, I did already make the shirt the color that's going to be. So Alt H, unhide everything. If I were to look at the rendered view, it would be a gray shirt with yellow, hold my beer. Very, very simple right now. Maybe that mug should something. I'm moving something, but I don't know what. Maybe that mug. What's going on? What am I moving or not moving? Grab. I was thinking about moving the mug a little bit over. Shift 2 so we can see the shirt. And there's the shirt. Kind of big, a little bit. I can always scale the whole thing down. But anyways, now what I need to do is actually the real work, the real busy work, which is giving it a little bit of the indication that it's a round mug, that there's, you know, this is crystal over here, and then this is foaming and it has the shape. So that's the real artistic work, really. The tracing was no big deal. This, for now, what I'm going to do is try to change, and I'm going to be in the layer 1. I'm going to take all these, number 1, I should name it. I'm going to go hold my, I don't know, I always hit the caps. my, and this is beer. Beer. I'm going to duplicate them and move them to the 10th layer, because what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to make sure that they don't have any bevel, any resolution, no offset or anything like that. Same with this one. Oh, the offset. Yeah, some of the text go crazy when some of these parameters are moved around. That's why I'm looking for that. But anyways, I'm going to go Alt-C, mesh. Alt-C, mesh. So these should now, by the indication of this over here, now show you that it's a mesh. Mesh meaning that it's made up of, faces, vertices, the whole thing. What I have found out, and it's ugly. If you look at that, you're like, I don't want to mess with it. But anyways, what I found out is that these, yeah, they're just ugly like that. And usually you have to do a double, remove doubles. 0 removed. I don't know, maybe that's previous versions of Blender that I've worked with. I haven't done this with this version. Oh, because I didn't have any selected. W, remove doubles. 11 vertices removed. Tab. A, W, remove. 63. So sometimes, and it was apparent right now when I was moving some of the parameters, it started going crazy. That's because they're not, it's not a tight mesh. It's got a lot of things. But anyways, I only did that because I'm going to do right now, while I have everything selected, go Shift L. I'm deselecting the texts themselves. Okay. I'm deselecting the text so that only those are selected. And in the color tab, I'm going to add another slot. And in the slot, I'm going to change it to the white. I'm thinking maybe the white so that it goes with the foam. Let's see. And the white, I'm going to assign them. So now, Shift Z. So now on a gray shirt, that may look okay. It's a little like it's shaky. Hold my shirt, hold my beer, hold my shirt. And then what I usually like to do is put a little stroke on the letters, but these texts, or at least what I can do right now with Blender, I would actually have to go and trace them in, which is a lot of work. I'm not going to do that. Hoping that works as like a stroke, a little outline, and so on. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with the beer. Tabbing in, I'm going to go Shift. So making sure everything's selected. Shift L, L, L. Let me get some more room here. Shift L. Now I'm going to add the slot and go to white, assign, tab, Control Save. So now I have the text, I have everything. The real fun starts now. And then when I say fun, I mean this is the real artistry, I guess. Not real artistry, but what requires a little bit of artistry. And I'm going to get rid of that one now, for now. If I need to add another one, I just got to make sure that I center the cursor. So what I'm getting at is that the image, I'm going to turn the background images back on. And where is it? Right there. I'm going to go back to 0. So this is going to be a little tough for me in the sense that I already moved the mug. But yeah, they're way separated out there. So I'm going to bring them back a lot closer together. So they're really close together. First I was giving myself a lot of space. So I'm shift selecting both of those and then just bringing them really close so they can move around. And so then that one can move them around. Back into that view, I'm going to move it back over the mug. I shouldn't have moved it, I suppose. Get it close. Because what I'm going to do now is try to duplicate. I'm going to hide all of those, by the way. So first off, I'm going to hide all of these, or maybe go into another layer altogether. I'm going to go into the second, third layer, just to just to play with it. I'm gonna have to stay in this view. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm just gonna plead ignorance as to why it's changing the shapes of the image, other than maybe Blender just tries to fit it into the camera, and so the camera is really odd, right? That image, right? But they're just not jiving. But what I need to do now is figure out ways, and I'm going to use the grease pencil, figure out ways that maybe I can sketch some of this stuff where I want to let, number one, the background out, number two, where the black is going to go in, and number three is where it's going to be white. So this handle, for example, would have, let me just try to illustrate that by going back to the grease pencil. But I don't want that layer. That layer served its purpose, so I'm going to turn it off and just get rid of it altogether. I think it's this one right here. Boom, gone. Now using the grease pencil, I'm going to do this kind of thing right here. Oop, I didn't even check where the cursor was. The cursor is at Z-10, so that's not good. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go back and put the cursor at, I want it up on top a little bit, so I'm going to go 5 and just erase. So the new one should come in right at that. So anyways, here's what I'm doing. Right off the picture, I'm just tracing that. Maybe another one right here that does this, right? And these, excuse me, these over here I can change. Where is it? Here. In other words, the stroke and the fill. So the stroke is black, but I want to make it white, and the fill, I want to give it an opacity. So there it is. That's the grease pencil. And I'm going to continue on that grease pencil layer, right? And then just trace these. So not a whole lot of artistry, other than I just need to, you know, get something that I think would convey the crystal aspect of that handle. The crystalline aspect. I don't even know what that term would be. There. So that's giving me a bit of an aspect of that. Now, what I'm going to do is now get control save, get another layer going. I shouldn't have collapsed them, I suppose. How do you do that? Here, it'll plus. Now that one's going to be black, and the fill is going to be fully black too. And this is going to be for the strokes. So we already have the stroke that goes along the edge, but I'm going to do something that will be indicative of, let's say, this. And I'm just being very loose with it right now, like that. And maybe here. So I know that it's already a big black stroke that goes through there, but I'm going to just do the same over here and see how that looks. Okay. And now the glass is also bouncing some of the light from the beer, so now I have to make another one. In this one, I'm going to I'm just going to choose a yellow. I'm not even, because it's the grease pencil. I could, you know, there's so many improvements that have been done to the grease pencil. There's actually ways to fix that, I think, in the grease pencil. Where is it? Here. I can go and mess with it. But then it's just going to draw me into just trying to smooth those lines out. And what I'm going to do, just to be clear, is I'm going to trace a lot of this with the same process that I've been doing, and then use the handles, rather than trying to isolate them, the grease pencil strokes or whatever, and then use either, you know, smoothing tools, stroking tools, and so on. But there's other tools that have been added to the grease pencil. Been watching some of the videos of the stuff they've been doing with them. It's really awesome. Some of the stuff has been happening with the grease pencil, but there is a very clear, I'm going to trace that black, I'm going to say it's a black outline that goes along here. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to give that, excuse me, I put it in the wrong layer. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I have to go tab in there and control link X the stroke. Release the stroke. Delete the stroke. Now the thing about the grease pencil that kind of confuses me too is that it has time frame data associated with it. So I try to stick with it. If I ever hit the I think it's the Alt A, it'll start running the time frame, and inadvertently you put strokes with a different, so in a different time frame and stuff like that. It's really frustrating if you don't know what's going on. So that's a color for the black. This one I was going to give it the yellow, and I'm going to give that also the same color, the opacity like that. So I was going to trace some of this with a yellow, but right now what I'm going to do is trace some of these with the in this one, because I'm thinking that there is basically that's like a big, and then turn the fill opacity all the way. Control save. So that's becoming very distinct now. Actually, that's actually kind of cool. It can help me in my guidance because it wants to go from the first to the last point, I think. So that's why we see some of that. Maybe that can help. We'll see. And the last one. So I turned the handle white initially because it went with the phone, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the handle gray, and that will be the gray of the shirt, the same color of the shirt. So in terms of screen printing, that would mean the color would come through. I wouldn't print anything there. And now I'm going to go for this one, and I'm just going to choose areas that I think are reflectively or, refractively yellow. Something that I really don't, I'm just guessing. With the fill there, and the fill here, there. Actually, it goes all the way over here. Like that. Okay. And I'm going to see how that looks graphically. There's a little white right here. So what I'm going to do is go back to the white one and then just draw. Now I got to make sure that I Control Z. I don't want that one. That looked ugly. And then just add something like that. Oh, there's that little spot right there. A lot of this is going to be traced when I do the other one. So Control save, Alt, so Alt H, Shift Z. No, oh, forgotten the Z. You don't see, so I can always go, you don't see the grease pencil when you do that, but I can go material, and that's a good one too. So I start seeing some of the stuff that's going to compound, but I forgot I was going to take that one, and that's, I'm going to go into the wireframe mode just so I can make sure that I have that one selected. Oh, I'm still in the edit mode for the, there, that one. I'm going to take that one, and I'm going to turn that one gray. Back to the gray. I think it was, where is it? Oh, there's no material name, so it's basically letting the shirt through, and that is, I'm just going to call it gray. Gray. Okay, oops. Okay, there. So that's gray. Okay, I don't want the Z. I forgot what hotkey gets you to this one. Oh, that's not looking gray. What did I turn gray? Oh, the shirt. I didn't turn it. I went and just renamed the shirt. So back to that material view. So that's not looking very cool. Not really, in the sense that it went back to the gray, but now I have some work cut out for me to make it look like it's the handle of a beer bottle, of a beer mug. So I only want 3 colors to work with. I wonder what happens if I were to turn it into the yellow. So it's still selected, and so I can always play with it. And then I'm going to go back and just call it the yellow. Let's see what it does. Oh, wrong one again. Come on, Blender Pretender. Now it's looking a little bit better. If I were to turn it yellow as part of the mug, but not, It's not indicative that there's beer here. It's really indicative that it's just a yellow mug. So it's a yellow cup. So, I really don't want to add another color. So let's say back to the gray, so that I can figure out what I'm going to print on that. And the white doesn't work. I already saw that. Control save. The yellow doesn't work. The black for sure doesn't work. Yeah, because I went to the white already, and it's too white. That's the closest I can get it. What it really needs then is more colors, which I don't want to do because it's a lot of more work in terms of a screen print. I'm going to bring this black. I'm just going to make this black more pronounced. I'm going to make these white more pronounced. All right. That's what I meant by the artistic aspects of it. Now it needs to look like it's conveying. It's that. So the white is too white. Obviously the white is too white. I'm going to see if I could turn these yellow then. There. Maybe looking a little bit more like it. Maybe just shape. I'm going to go to this one then, and then just draw this more in here. That didn't look too good. Okay, more like that. And so I really would have to add another color, but I think one of the things that I can do, I would try to add some, like for me, I would try to add some halftone in the black, but that's kind of a lot more work than I can actually fit in this video. So let me see what it looks like. Oh, well, I am already in the material with the gray shirt showing through with black coming through here. These are not showing through, by the way, because I'm overlapping it with a grease pencil. But I'm going to emphasize that. Control Z. That's because the fill opacity. Once the fill opacity and the grease pencil is on, I have to make sure that I go back. Let me see. Let me zoom back out there. It's way too black right here. So with this one selected, I'm just gonna, oh, what did I do? This one selected, I'm just gonna delete it. And I'm gonna take that one again and turn it back to white. Let's see how it looks again in the materials. What it needs is some gray. So where I put the black previously, I'm going to put the gray instead. So what am I doing? Z. It was in the 0. Nope. Was it? Wasn't it? Was it or wasn't it? Oh, I already was in the camera view. Sorry. So that's the white. Let me see what happens if I go back to the white with that one. Now I'll go back to that one. Too much white. Now that might actually start making some effects actually pop out. I wonder if I were to do this one black and this one that color. Now that's starting to look a little bit more. So for this one, oh, I'm trying to select it as if it were. So that's this layer right here. The stroke, I'm going to just make it black. And what I'm going to do is then just put some gray in between. Now again, I am thinking of not printing the gray portions, and then not printing any base underneath the yellow, because what's going to happen is that the color from the shirt is going to come through. So let me just save that and then try to make it so that I can get some gray to show up. All the black was going to turn into gray is what was going to happen. So back to this one. I need to go back to this view right here. Do I have a gray color? Well, I have the shirt right here. So back to that's the full black. Now, well, not really. I switched all the colors around, but that one will be full. No, the stroke and the fill will be gray. Wrong one. There. Now I'm going to start drawing some things that might work, might not. There's that. And there's that. So now let me see how it looks. Maybe I need to narrow that white streak. In other words, the highlight can't be that much. So this highlight's here. And so I think what I'm going to do for all of these is turn this into this. Make sure all of these are to the maximum. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let some gray through and then... Okay. It looks kind of ugly. So I'm just going to have to trust that I can do certain, I can pull it off once I start tracing. Because the tracing is going to have to be in time lapse, because it's just not enough time in this thing to do all of this tracing that needs to happen. But I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm kind of giving up on this one. Not giving up. It's just getting to the point where all the strokes are going to be in the gray, including some of this gray, which is going to be basically the black, right? And I'm going to try to just make the very suggestive slivers of white to show through. And hopefully that's like a mug with some of the background showing through, while there's also, I need to do the same thing here and the same thing here. So I'm going to go into the time lapse while I try to work all that out. Okay, so that's going to be it for the time lapse. This is pretty much it for the design. I think I have to narrate a couple things, I think, or go back and explain a couple of things. I went ahead and added an empty to which I parented. So I parented everything having to do with the cup because I was having trouble, trying to distinguish some of those. It became pretty busy. And so that's one of the things that I kind of got away from, having the centers, and that's why I like to have the centers, and I was copying off of that one curve because I think that helps you ultimately center them. But I did have some scaling and stuff happening. As it is right now, this one is scaled in the Z. It's scaled in all directions actually, and so if I were to parent it off of a particular starting point. So it's not the good way to do it, I think, but I just did it for the sake of organizing it and having something to grab that. As long as I copy the elements from within here that already had the parent, they inherited that, but it can be, it's pretty visible right here. Some of these curves that they're elongated on the Z-axis. So if I were to lose my place and start moving stuff around, I might actually lose that. But I think I'm happy with it right now. I'm fine with it. A lot of busy stuff in the so just I didn't go with what was in the grease pencils, and I can go to the grease pencils now and turn them on. I actually kind of like some of the looks that you get with a grease pencil, even though, you know, it's kind of like jittery, I guess you would call it. You know, you can see, if you zoom in, you can see the points. And basically, it's a bunch of lines between points. But I kind of like, I think there's a possibility to actually do a whole painting even, but it's not meant for that. But do a whole painting and then just messing with the opacities, and not just there, but over here in the layers too. Here, you know, stuff like that. So, pretty good stuff. I went ultimately and I finished up all of the little, well, I consider them little things like this. I might give it, you know, might want to give it more curve or not, those kinds of things. I tried to give, you know, the impression of the shadow on this side, light on this side. I still wanted some of the, you know, surrounding that would be reflected or refracted through the cup and all these things. So that's why it could always use work. It could use more work, like that one could be more curved or whatever, but you got to call it at some point in time. It's kind of empty here, so, you know, I added that, but it might need some other stuff. And it's kind of busy and full over here on this side. I'm going to call it good. One of the things that need to happen when you're doing stuff like this is basically get up and walk away and then look at it. When, you know, give yourself a couple of minutes of rest. Because there's always something, and you could be zoomed in like this. For example, I see this and I say, as I zoom it out, I see those and I say, I think those need to be a little thicker, you know? So I make them thicker. But I can go in and out, in and out, in and out. And that's just so that it runs in there, you know. Like, for example, that one over here too. I keep, okay, tabbing in, tabbing out. That's the other thing. You know, if Blender's not something that people are not comfortable using, you know, all these buttons and everything, you know, it can get really confusing. As it is, it took me 2 hours last night. I did the, you know, the narrated portion at the beginning of the video here. Today, it took me, well, the time lapse itself is about, I think, 26 minutes, because I went ahead and, before recording this, you know, finishing thoughts now, about 26 minutes. So that's 6 times faster. So combined is 3 hours. But I've been working since the morning, so it's a full day's work today just to do this and get this done. So just giving the perspective, because you have to take pause, you have to walk away, you always have to zoom out. In the videos you see that I'm zooming in and out, in and out, in and out all the time. You can't be zoomed in all the time. You need to zoom in to do the minute stuff, but you need to pull out. It looks busy to me right now, a little bit busy. I'd have to see it after, like, maybe do a print. That's the other thing. And sometimes the computer they're great, but you need to print them. You need to be able to see them and then say, oh, okay, maybe I need some more. Maybe thicken it up over here on the black lines, or put more gray here, more white, or whatever. But I think I'm going to call this one done. If anything, I might spend some time. Maybe this gives you know, plenty of opportunity to put like a logo, maybe like the Blender Pretender logo up here. I don't know. I'll see if I want to spend the time with that. But it's pretty much done. It needs the dots. I forgot that. I'm gonna add real quick right now, just to make it longer, right? I'm gonna add the text, and then I need to find that same font style. It's very easy because it was right up in front, and I think it was this one right here. But now I need to scale it up so that it's about roughly the same size as the beer. Tab in there, and then just go dot, dot, dot. See how those look. They look really, really close. Huh. Tab, come on, tab out. I keep using hitting the caps instead of the tab. But anyways, so there. See how that looks? It doesn't look very good. And it's going to throw off the symmetry. So this is like hold my beer, and then the rest of it is like, well, I do something stupid, right? So let me see if the spacing can work a little bit with that. Where was the spacing? the letter spacing. Probably like right there. And what I can do is click that and just go Control L materials. Let's see if it adopted the yellow at least. So if I wanted to move these two back here, see how that looks. It throws off the symmetry as it is. Well, maybe not so much, hold my beer, but I think I'm gonna move them to layer 0. And well, give that one back its X to the 0. X, 0. Oh, what am I doing? Control Z. I went to the scale. There. So I'm just centering those because the sheet is centered, so those will be centered and they're justified around the center. So now I can just mess with this a little bit using the empty that I used to parent it, and then just try to give it some visual symmetry, like right there. So now I can go into the view of how it's going to print, and this is what it should print and what should come out on a t-shirt. Maybe a little bit more right there. Okay, and Shift 2 for the shirt itself. There's the shirt. I know it can barely be seen. Control Save. And then that's how it would look on the shirt. It would actually need to that shirt should come down a little bit, because typically they're about the prints are about that high from the neck, let's say. Okay, Shift Z. There's a particular distance, you know, between armpits and so on and so forth, in case people tuck shirts in also, you know. So that's a good size right there. I think it's got symmetry. It's just hold my beer. A lot of work for the graphics, but I took it on because it was an idea that was thrown my way, and I said I could probably develop that. Now looking at this from far away, the text doesn't have, and this is the computer, and the computer screen obviously has, you know, the pixelization that happens around the edges, but these texts could use the stroke of black around them. So I'm going to try something. I don't need to go out of that, but I do need to get out of that mode. And I'm sorry. Why would I push that button? Sorry. Let me see. Let me get out of that view. What I'm going to do is take these two. I'm sorry again. sorry. Shift duplicate, take them down, and I'm going to turn those into, let me see, well, I'll probably have to do it one at a time. Get rid of the white and turn that yellow into black. That's the bottom one. And then take that one, do the same. Okay. See if this will work. I don't know if it'll work or not. Now they're both meshes, so I can join them. I'm going to take both of them and Control Join. So now I have all the objects selected, and I'm going to try to see if this will work. Maybe not. If it doesn't, I'll just erase it. I'm going to use the individual origins, and okay, I'm going to go in that view, and they should be black. I can see that they're black, and so here I'll be able to see if it's working. So I'm going to scale them slightly. See how that looks. It seems to be working a little off, and then it's not enough, obviously, for that. So I'm going to scale some more. And I do have everything selected, so it should be relatively okay. So it's going off the individual centers, and the individual centers are somewhere a little off, so some exercise, I guess, could be done to center them, or make sure that they're underneath or centered. Like, for example, this one should have the corresponding portion scaled, but this M scaled a lot more. So I could, if I wanted to, bring that one back in. Let's see how that looks. Control Z, Control Z. What I'm going to do is get rid of all the scales and do what I did earlier, which is deselect the texts. Okay. And then with the individual center selected, I'm going to scale just the little thingamajigs. Let me see how that looks. Oh, I hope I don't break this. So that doesn't look very good. So Control Z, Control Z. Oh, I'm doing Shift Z, Control Z. So I'm going to go back in the selection, or rather, I'm going to see if I can Control I, invert the selection. So leaving the other ones, well, actually I'm going to invert it again, and I'm going to get rid of them. Now, with all of them selected, I'm going to do the same process. Now, let's see how it looks. So now it's got the black around the letter, but the text, but the little shaky things. The R, for example, needs to be moved over. So does the E and so on. A little bit more. And that's plenty thick over there, so I'm trying to see if I can get something that'll stand out at this distance. It will stand out just as much as that. So that's worth some work. Now that I've scaled them out, I can just center them a little bit behind the letter and then give them that, and then they'll have also the white that goes for the shakiness. All of that printed onto a red t-shirt. Maybe I can do that right now. For example, Z. I'm gonna link that, and I'm just gonna eyeball them. That one doesn't need to go anywhere. I don't think that one needs to go in. Yeah, that one does. Actually, I don't think they need to go anywhere. The H is better centered, yes. The M, I guess it should be like that. The Y looks fine. So it's just the R and the E's. Maybe a little bit this way. A little better. That's a little better too. And this one a little bit too. Well, they're there, and that's the design. I'm gonna call that good. You gotta stop, you gotta walk away sometimes, and if I do spend some time, I could put the little Blender Pretender swirl in here and the beer. Okay, oh, last thing I was gonna get at, just to, with the shirt selected, there's always a possibility to choose the shirt. Let's say, for example, so now that's a gray color, but I could always, for example, the gray. I'm going to save right now in case I have to go back, but I could always choose, let's say, another color. Let's say I wanted like a brown shirt. I have trouble finding the brown. So brown's like, I was thinking the brown could also look, yeah, brown, probably less color, more gray, and the orange right there. Something like that. Let's say that's a brown color. So that would be letting the brown shirt show through. Doesn't look that bad. The other option is obviously going to completely, in this case I would have to make, let's say, a white shirt and just do 2 colors. So I would go turn the gray all into the white, into the black, I'm sorry. No, sorry. sorry. No, take that one and go all the way to the black, right? And so there's ways to play with the color, and then take the shirt and turn it white. So that's how it will look on a white t-shirt. Just everything's completely black and just black and yellow, and on a white t-shirt. It still reads, I think. It's just is, you know, it's a preference, matter of preference, a matter of what it wants, what you know, who wants to be done. The little shaky things don't work, so they'd have to change in color, and probably the best color would be yellow. So anyways, with that said, I'm just gonna go back and file, open the effective final design from Blender Pretender here, and final design here, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.